So going to compare products for you, we've got the latest ping model, the i230, which has only just launched, and the i525. So both heads are designed to be more in the player's shape. They're both quite clean shapes, but they're designed to do two totally different things. So I'm going to run through the tech on each head, get a little bit of data, and explain what you can see or what you can expect from each different head. So starting with the i230, this one literally just come out, very, very clean shape, very traditional look. This was a progression off the i210, an incredibly popular head. That whole i200, 210 series, been played a huge amount by tour players. Matt Fitzpatrick, Lee Westwood, been playing them many, many, many years. So the key thing with this head is really around maximising consistency. A little bit extra forgiveness in this model, which we'll come on to how in a moment, but really geared towards making sure distance consistency and gapping consistency is the most important element. So what they've done is it hasn't got a mirage face, it hasn't got a fast face to it, but what they've done is within this badge at the back, it's a 4-layer elastomer badge at the back. So what that does is they've managed to save alongside an activated elastomer insert which goes in underneath here. They saved around 20 grams, maybe just over 20 grams for that particular section of the club from the i210. So in the 210 they had a soft badge across the back that not only supported the face, but it dampened the sound down. Now, sounds feel, so it was really designed to make it feel as soft as possible. But in relative terms, it weighed quite a lot. What they've managed to do here is by taking a lot of weight out, they can still use the elastomer insert that's in there to support the face. So what it does is it makes the amount of load and bend on the face consistent, which then means consistent distance and flight, but it allows them to lower the centre of gravity as well. So there's more weight placed in the heel and the toe, and what that does is that reduces the twisting off centre, increases the MOI of the head, lowers the CG of the head. So what you get is a deep CG head, weight, heel and toe, designed to optimise performance off centre and give that consistency shot to shot. Not a distance oriented head per se, but certainly got a good amount of forgiveness to it. And this head actually, from a size point of view, the 6-cylinder pitch is exactly the same size as the i210, toe to heel, but the 4 and 5, 3, 4, 5 end are a little bit smaller, so it's quite a compact head. Moving on to the i525, this is more around distance. So whilst it has that sort of blade-like look with that flat back, that kind of sleek, clean back line, what you've actually got is quite a lot of tech in this head. So this one, for example, has a forged mirage steel face. So miraging is where you weld a face, a different material, into the frame. And so what you can do is you can go thinner and lighter. So not only does that give you more perimeter weighting, naturally, but by going thinner, the face loads and bends a little bit more, which creates more kick, more speed. So it naturally creates that sort of deeper CG, which with the 230 they've had to cut weight out of the back to achieve, but it also naturally perimeter weights a little bit more. As a result of that, what they've had to do is, they've had to put a coating on the back of the face. It's a polymer coating that's not heavy enough to disrupt the way the face loads, but again, it's to try to dampen that sound down to keep it an enjoyable experience to hit. But because of the hollow nature of it and the fact it's got that thinner face, this is going to be a slightly clickier, slightly louder head than the 230. But it's designed for speed, and that's one of the trade-offs that one's going to get. The other element in here is within the cavity, there's a bit of an undercut there. And again, all this is designed to remove weight to allow you to place it in the correct position. So they've really focused on taking weight out and putting a heavier weight in the toe and in the bottom of the hosel, again, to spread that weight, heel and toe, to give lots of stability. One of the other ways that they've developed some of the tech on both of these heads have what Ping call their Micromax grooves. So what you'll notice looking at this face is the grooves look quite close together. Now, Callaway have done this before with some of their models too, and the closer together you put the grooves, the more grooves you get per surface area relative to contact points. So what that means, if you've got more kind of edges to the grooves trying to cut through and get to the back of the ball, if you've got any moisture or grass or anything in between the ball and the face. So it reduces the amount of flyers, and it maintains as much spin as possible in the mid to the longer irons in particular. So it can help just to reduce the launch angle a little bit and maintain spin, and certainly that's the design of it. So both heads have that. The other bit that differentiates these two is with the 230 being more of a consistency-based club, it's a slightly weaker loft. So actually the loft on the 230 is quite, you might call it quite old school. It's a 29 degree 6 iron, 33 degree 7 iron in its standard position, but you can use the retro lofts to get back to a 31 degree 6 iron. Now it's almost unheard of nowadays. Most are 27, 28 and only go down to 24 in some instances in the more forgiving heads. So Ping have actively gone to a head that maintains that launch and spin, and we've seen that with other brands where they're going to high launch models and have identified that golfers struggle with flight. So I think this is a trend I think we're going to see from more brands moving forward. I hope so, because most golfers struggle with getting the ball airborne, and rather than just going more forgiving, lower loft, low CG, which takes all the spin off, a couple of the brands are reining it back a little bit. So that's good to see. So what we're going to do, we're going to get a couple of shots with each. Then we'll have a quick run through the data just to compare and give you the comparisons, and also to kind of run through how the tech has affected that, and then take it from there, compare from there. So I'm going to start with the 525. So very much more the distance setup club. So you should notice a little bit of a harder sound off the face. So it's got a real, you could say, click to it. So in terms of flight performance, I mean, the standard loft on this is a 27, 28 degree loft. So, but because of the materials used in the face and putting weight down the bottom, all you're doing is gearing, the more flexion in the face, you gear a little bit of spin off. So it produces really quite a powerful flight. But noticeably a bit of a harder note off the face. So I didn't really strike that second one very well. And if we look to the data on the screen there, the smash factor, the efficiency at 137, considering that was certainly quite toe side, has maintained pretty well. Whereas if I switch to the first hit that was struck nicely, then we'll see 143 efficiency. And for me, I mean, that's more of a 5-iron distance relative to what I would use, 195 carry. But the spin at 4.2 is on the stronger side. So it's certainly a head that you'd use to bring that flight down and forwards, and to get ball speed and energy on the ball, and maximise yardage for someone in a package that's actually quite player oriented into visuals. I'll switch over to the 230. If I can get that head off. Now actually, visually between the two heads to look down on, they're not that different. Both quite compact. They've got the signature white painted groove on the bottom that Ping are known for. We'll pop the 230 in there. So, and we should see, I mean, the loft is different, so that's one of the reasons we're going to see a different flight. So anyone that ever does a distance comparison on these two heads and doesn't mention the loft difference, it's not a fair test to not mention them. So 2 degrees difference on loft, we should be noticing at least 5 or 6 yards difference, just normalising the loft. So, but we'll see what happens with the 230. So straight away, a noticeably dampened sound, a much kind of softer, quieter note. And immediately as well, launch angle going from 16, 17 degrees up to 18. Now, obviously loft's going to do that, but the head's not designed to cannon it down and forwards. What we can also see is the spin is up about 1,000 revolutions. So for me, this might not be the same for everyone. You might notice slightly kind of smaller differences in this, but ultimately this is what the head's designed to do. So it's designed to be consistent and designed to maintain that flight profile and not going for just bombing the ball out a long way. So again, not right out the middle. Smash a little bit lower, 136, but not disastrous by any stretch of the imagination, but very, very consistent on spin. Between those two, you've only got a 40 revolution difference on spin between those two shots. So what that does, it means the ball's coming down the same each time. The more you get the face to flex, the more variation you're like to see in those flight and spin patterns. So what we can see from a comparison point of view on the bottom here, a carry distance average of 179 with the i230 and a 5.3 spin, 17.5 degrees of launch, 525, 17 launch, so not that much lower, but the spin's down at just under 4,200, so it's a club longer. Now, half of that's the loft, half of that's the tech on the face, but they've really differentiated between the two models. So what they're giving the consumer is a clear definite decision to make in terms of, are you going for a head that's going to give you more tech, more distance, more ball speed, or something that's going to give you more consistency, more spin, more flight? So, you know, the 230 in a industry at the moment where we've got a lot of heads designed to cannon out a long way. Actually, for fitters, this is a great head as a counterpoint to something like the 525 or the P790s, or the Callaway Apexes, where they're designed for a little bit more for distance, and it gives us another tool to be able to maintain flight, maintain consistency. So, Hooper, that gives you the background between the two heads, two great options, but two totally different profiles.